Welcome back to the channel, Racer X here, and today I wanted to put together just a really quick follow-up to the last video that I put out. Many of you saw my last video, many of you followed my build of my Mustang GT, and as you saw, the Mustang obviously hit a wall when I was out kind of running some errands a few nights ago. Luckily, I am okay, and I do want to take just a quick second and kind of thank everybody out there for all of their well wishes and their prayers, and it means so much to come from you guys, and I really, really do appreciate it. Matter of fact, the vast majority of people, probably 98% of people, were super supportive, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you guys reaching out to me, whether it's phone, text, Instagram, just on my video comments, whatever. Thank you guys very, very much for all of your support. But in true YouTube fashion, there were some folks that also kind of either had some questions. They either questioned my my integrity. Some of them even called me a liar. So I want to just kind of set the record straight with a lot of the questions that people may have had about the entire situation, set the record straight about multiple things. So I just kind of want to just jump into that really quick, and we'll go from there. Now, first, before I even jump into anything, I just want to tell you guys that I'm actually doing okay, really as great as I could be considering really what happened with the car. My head is kind of cleared up from the concussion that I had, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. So starting to feel normal again. As you can see, my arm is still kind of wrapped up. I'm still trying to heal from the airbag sort of burning me and kind of busting me open a little bit there. But I'm just amazed, and I mentioned this in one of my lives, just how well that car protected my life. The fact that the seatbelt protected me, kept me from being ejected and essentially killed, and the airbags, every part of that car did its part to keep me as the occupant safe. So once again, huge shout out to my buddies at Ford for engineering such a fantastic car that kept me alive essentially. So let's jump into the questions. Now, for those of you that actually watched my last video, I did kind of explain sort of what happened as I was driving home, went to run an errand late at night. So we went to Walmart of all things, and on my way home in the left-hand lane, ran into a bunch of mud coming across the road from all the rains that we had had, and the car, it was almost like being on black ice. The car basically just went through it, was going dead straight, and the rear end of the car went obviously slightly one way and then completely the other direction. I didn't overcorrect or anything like that, and the car went directly into the wall at 70 miles an hour. It was a terrible, terrible impact that I suffered in that crash, and it really is kind of amazing that I'm just walking around and I was able to simply walk away from that accident. So one of the questions that kind of came up in that was, well, Racer X, you're really stupid. I've had several people call me stupid because you had those 235 tires on the car. Well, I kind of want to set the record straight here. Those tires are street compound tires. Now, I do have wheels for that car, which oddly enough have come in now. But I had those on order because of COVID. They were on back order. But had I had my drag radials on, it would have made the situation much worse. They're really not made for rain and inclement weather. The roads were wet. So I just want to be clear that the roads were wet. And unfortunately, obviously, what happened. But it really would not have mattered what tires I had on the car. As a matter of fact, those street tires are typically really good in the rain. I've never really had a problem with those tires slipping in the rain. And the fact that they are a street compound tire means they're going to do much better than a summer tire, and certainly much better than a drag radial would have done. And somebody said, oh, look, you're supposed to have wider tires. Why are you only running those? Guys, keep in mind, I'm not out doing street pulls in the rain on 235 tires, but those tires typically do fairly well. Keep in mind, these come on almost all the Mustang GTs, and they sell a zillion of these things. So they wouldn't put a tire out there that you couldn't drive in the rain on. So at the end of the day, I really had the best tire on the car for the road conditions. Now, some other folks have questioned the fact that when I showed the video of the mud kind of coming down, first of all, nobody knows where all that mud came from. I think maybe a dump truck must have lost it somewhere, but you could clearly see it in the video. The police clearly saw it. And I'm not sure where all of that came from, but it was washing down over the road. But the video that I showed you, you could really only see the mud coming through the HOV lane. The police officer was nice enough to take me back around, but he couldn't get back far enough to show where the mud actually went all the way across the HOV and into the second lane, which is where I was driving, the left-hand lane that was not the HOV. So I was not driving in the HOV lane by myself. It's amazing how when you have an accident, people just sort of start attacking you. But at the end of the day, no, I was in the left-hand lane. There was nobody else around me, and I went through a big patch of mud. You just couldn't see it in the video because he couldn't get to the next exit back. He took me on one exit, went straight across the road in order to be safe, but we couldn't get far back far enough essentially to kind of look to see where the mud actually came over into the next lane, but it in fact did. Some other things that came up, some folks said that, look, there's no way you had that kind of damage to your car only going 70 miles an hour, essentially questioning my integrity, basically calling me a liar. Well, at the end of the day, believe what you like. But I'm not going to be out doing street pulls in my, 1,000 horsepower Mustang in the rain on 235 width tires, guys. I'm a pretty experienced driver. Most of you that follow me know that. I understand road conditions, been to performance driving schools. I mean, I understand all of that stuff. And when I tell you there was literally nothing I could do about this situation, I mean, I was just along for the ride. There was absolutely zero I can do. First time in my entire life that this has happened, where I hit a spot like that and the car just immediately came around on me. It was very, very strange. But at the end of the day, no, I was going the speed limit, which is 70 mile an hour on that stretch of road. Wasn't being crazy. There was nobody around me. I most definitely was not doing pulls in the rain, which would have just been idiotic to begin with, not alone on those 235 street tires, which I mentioned were great for the conditions, but not ideal for doing highway pulls, especially when it's not dry outside. So let's be clear on that. Another interesting comment that I got was, look, there's no way this could happen if you were actually paying attention. Well, the truth of the matter is I was looking straight ahead, paying perfect attention. You really could not see this. Keep in mind, this was at nighttime, fairly dark, and you just could not see this stuff coming across the road the way that it was. It's really hard to see. So you're cruising along, just kind of minding your own business. Sometimes that stuff happens. You can't always see that stuff coming across the road until it is too late. So, I mean, that is just one thing, but I was definitely paying attention to the road. People asked me if my traction control was on. Yes, my traction control was on. Obviously, the streets were slick. I keep my traction control on typically. So that's another question answered there. And then of course somebody also asked me, well, guess what? Your insurance is most likely just going to absolutely skyrocket. Well, I want to make a point of this. I did not show in my video all of the footage that I took, and some of that footage I chose not to air on purpose, but it was showed to the police. And it went into the police report, and it was also showed to the insurance company. And in both cases, both the police and the insurance company deemed this a not-at-fault accident. They could clearly see what happened with the car a little further back, which I wasn't able to capture because it simply wasn't safe. The officer was nice enough to kind of spotlight some of the dirt, but at the end of the day, both the insurance company and the police had deemed this to be just a sucky situation. It wasn't my fault. So my insurance really shouldn't go up hardly at all, luckily. It was just kind of wrong place at the wrong time. Just a bad situation altogether. Another interesting comment. Racer X, you crashed your car on purpose for views. Now, I did have several people ask me, and several people actually sort of attack me about, you're a complete idiot for standing out in the road and trying to film. Now, I just want to be clear about this. I called 911 after this initially happened. I was in my car for about 5 minutes before I even got out of it. Everything was kind of like a blender inside the car. Stuff was everywhere. Like I said, extremely hard impact. I got out. I was on the phone with 911 before I ever got out, and she asked me if I could get out. I did. I reported that I had very minimal injuries, and she told me to wait. She said under no circumstance cross over the highway and all that traffic. She said get out, stay in front of your car. And you know what? At the end of the day, I mean, I was basically following the instructions that the operator gave me until the first responders got there. So that was my whole reason for doing it. As you're sitting there by yourself, kind of reflecting on how in the world that just happened, I had my phone in my hand anyway. So I figured, you know what, I need to at least document this. I mean, if anything, maybe it'll help somebody stay safe. Certainly, obviously for the channel, I want to make sure that you guys understood what happened and why. I just felt like all of that was important. And at the end of the day, I wasn't doing anything that I wasn't instructed not to do. So it's a little insulting that people tried to attack me because of that when I was simply just doing what the operator asked me to do. Many of you also asked me why nobody stopped to help me. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not entirely sure. Yes, it was a little later at night. Now, the car did come to rest parallel to the barrier itself, and I was able to get out after some time. I'm not entirely sure why nobody stopped because I was in the car for quite some time, but it may have looked, simply when you look at the back of the car, you couldn't necessarily tell there was anything wrong with the car. You know what I mean? It maybe have looked like the car was either parked there. I did have my hazards on, so it could have looked like maybe just the car was stranded and maybe waiting for somebody. I can't entirely tell you why some of these folks, what went through people's heads or why they didn't stop. I'm certainly the kind of person that probably would have, but I just don't have a great answer for you on that one, guys. So unfortunately, I can't speak for the actions of others. So another comment that was really prevalent was, look, that's what you get for driving a Mustang. And I thought that that was really kind of insensitive and a little bit weird because it really wouldn't matter, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, it really wouldn't have mattered if I was in a Hellcat or a Scat Pack. It wouldn't have mattered if I was in a Corvette or a Camaro, a Ferrari. It really would have made no difference. Now, had I been in a front-wheel drive car, perhaps, or an all-wheel drive car, perhaps the outcome would have been a little bit different because those cars react a little bit different to that type of situation. But any sort of rear-wheel drive car, it really wouldn't have mattered what it was. Like I said, I was doing normal highway speeds. I don't see that making really any difference. And I've been in a couple of sketchy situations in multiple cars. I'm just going to put that out there, and I've typically been able to drive out of those situations just from knowing what to do, keeping my cool. There was nothing I could have done about this, but I really don't believe it would have mattered what car I was driving or what brand it was. It was going to happen regardless. It was just a bad situation altogether. So I'm a little surprised people attack the Mustang the way they do. Maybe it's just a funny thing to do, or because all the memes on on the internet. The other question or comment that I got a lot of was, look, you're just a plain idiot and you don't know how to drive. I think most of you guys know that that probably is not the case. A lot of you guys have followed a lot of my advice when it comes to showing you guys how to drive powerful cars quickly. I've even done videos on kind of how to power slide and drift. I've done all sorts of videos kind of helping people to keep their cars sort of under control. I've spoken out many times about just being safe on the road and kind of knowing when to have fun with the car and when to just kind of pull it back in and be safe. So the whole attacking me about my not knowing how to drive, I think is just a little strange. And really kind of the last thing I wanted to approach, many people of you asked me, look, is this turbo kit salvageable? Is anything on the car salvageable? Well, right now, I'm not entirely sure what's salvageable and what's not. I'm still working with the insurance company on that. I do have some plans. We've kind of had a few things in the works, but I can't necessarily comment on it just yet. I've got to wait for a few things to kind of get finalized. But we will definitely get it figured out. I will keep you posted as things continue to sort of evolve. And let's hope maybe we can get some of that turbo stuff back, and who knows. Also, really quick, many of you asked, hey, look, where do you go from here? What car is next? Well, I've got several things I'm looking at, several things in the works. I cannot comment because nothing is written in stone just yet, but I do have plans. And as always, guys, I plan to bring you all sorts of fun content. I'm okay. Matter of fact, I'm going to go film another video in the morning tomorrow. So lots of great stuff planned. I've already got lots of stuff I'm just working on, a lot of behind the scenes stuff happening. But at the end of the day, guys, I just want to stress the fact that I am okay. This kind of stuff could have happened to anybody. I do once more want to kind of stress, always wear your safety belt. I'm not turning this into some sort of a, infomercial or something just, for public safety. But at the end of the day, my seatbelt did save my life, guys. So I want you to just think about that the next time you get on the road. It only takes a quick second. And I'm so thankful that I had my seatbelt on and that my car protected me the way that it did. So anyway, guys, one more time, I just want to tell everybody out there, the 99% of you guys that gave me nothing but praise and well wishes, all the prayers that you guys sent out, man, it means so much to me. And it just tells me what a fantastic following I have, and it really makes this YouTube journey worth it to me. So thank you guys all so much for that. And like I said, lots more content headed your way, and I will catch you on the next one. So until then, Racer X.